Oh, now there's pressure because there's people I know in the audience. Oh, gosh. So, welcome. My name is Metta Dael. I'm the Director of International Admission. I am an alum. So, I've been there. I tried to go for 1 year, and I'm going into my 18th year. So, and when I came to Northfield Mount Hermon, I was coming from being an international student. I lived here in Singapore, Indonesia, Bangkok, Hong Kong, London, Cali. So I've been all over. So I know exactly what it's like to deal with jet lag, culture shock, and stuff. So one thing that I think is really important is boarding school admissions continues to get complicated as more and more people want to come to boarding school. So today we're going to talk about what the boarding schools are looking for. Go ahead. Go ahead. So part of the reason kids go to boarding school is because they want to explore the world. We expect big things out of you, right? And one thing we always talk about is a supportive community of adults. So you look at many of these schools, our kids live on campus, right? And you're sending your students to a school, but you're really sending them to my house, right? I live on campus. I live in the dorm. My students are sometimes walking my dog with me, right? My 5-year-old is running around, checking on other kids. So when you're thinking about going to boarding school, make sure you're talking to them about the network of adults who are going to be supporting your child. Our kids are passionate. They're looking for other passionate learners. So I hear from people all the time, I want to go to boarding school because I want to be around other kids who are interested. Boarding schools are looking for students who are interested in not only learning, but who are interested in trying new things, which is really scary sometimes, right? If I'm asking you to take a risk and try a new class or try a new sport, it's really awesome that then there's that supportive network of adults to help pick you up and say, it's okay to fail. We're just going to have you try again, right? Or we're going to have you try something different that might be more exciting that you didn't think of. Go ahead. We prep for the real world. So yes, we are college prep schools. But when we're talking about what boarding schools do and why students come to us and then hence what we're looking for kids who want to make an impact in the world. It's not enough that you're just thinking about going to college, but it's like at boarding school, what impact are you going to make? What are you going to be like in the classroom? What are you going to be like in the dorm, right? And therefore then, what are you going to be like in college? Go ahead, please. Our students at every boarding school is going to have a myriad of leadership opportunities. We have kids who become senator aides at some schools, who become proctors. We have kids who are taking year abroads in different countries. All of these are kids then that if we're looking for them at our school, we want to know what you're doing on your campus now, right? So if you're in 9th grade, are you playing on a soccer field? If you're in 10th grade and interested in student council, are you running for student council, right? So we want to know what leadership opportunities you're doing now, because we want to know then who are you going to help support as a fellow student when you come to NMH or any boarding school. Oh, time management. Everyone I know who comes to boarding school says, I got to learn some time management skills. And part of that is because you don't have your parents there, right? But that's what the supportive student and supportive faculty network is going to help you do. And it's not that they're not going to get to class. Everyone typically gets to class, but it's like, did you get your laundry done, right? Oh, you need to do your laundry, but you've got to get to class. Your best friend's birthday's coming up and you want to go get a cake for them. There's not a store nearby, so you got to make brownies instead, right? And you also want to go see the dance performance. So it's not just classes that we talk about learning in boarding school. It's how you use your time. So are you already showing those kind of skills when you're applying? Or do we have to hold your hand? Every boarding school has a different level. There's some schools that provide more learning support, social help, academic help than our school does, right? So make sure you're really asking about what those different schools can offer for you in terms of time management. And of course, college prep. Every one of our schools hosts college fairs, and the reason we do that is because people are focused on definitely enrolling into higher institutions. But what is important to know is that they go and look at schools all over. So whether they're going to Japan, whether they're going to England, London School of Economics, for instance, they're going to CIT, they're going to KO. Our college counseling programs are able to help you look at schools all over the world. Yes, we are experts in the United States, but we wouldn't be able to be preparing you for the whole world if our college counselors also weren't preparing you for all those different schools. So what are boarding schools looking for? First thing you want to do is think about the mission and values of the schools that you're looking at. So for us, our values are really specific. If you're not interested in being lifelong learners, you're probably not going to survive in a boarding school. But if you're not interested in service, you're not going to survive in my school. So make sure you're really looking at the different mission and values of each school you're applying to so you can see what matches with you best. Look at the visual arts programs or the performing arts programs or the athletic programs. Do they match what you need? And then finally, look at the dorms. Are there small dorms, right? Or are they big dorms? So if you're looking for a school that has a smaller dorm population, there are some dorms in boarding schools, like junior boarding schools, that have only 8 to 10 kids in a dorm versus other boarding schools, they might have 40 kids, right? So think about what they want, because what we're looking at as a school is what kind of kid is going to fit best in each dorm, right? These are all puzzle pieces that we are trying to put together and figure out which puzzle you're going to complete. Go ahead. Can you go back to one more? Can you guys see me on any of these pictures? Look for me. What do you see? Do you see me, anyone? What? Looking. Jaden, what do you see? Ah. So I'm holding the basketball, right? So the captains hold the basketball. That's me. That's when I was 17. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. So again, we want people to be intellectually curious and thrive in a boarding school by constantly being odd. And that the way that you're being odd is you're delving in, right? So some students and some schools might have 70-minute classes or 45-minute classes. What can you manage? At Northfield Mount Hermon, we have 70-minute classes. If that's not going to work for your kid, you want to be able to say that, right? Because that might not be a match. And what we're doing again is finding the best match for you. I love that this quote talks about multiple perspectives, because every boarding school is looking at kids who want to see the world not in just one way, but in multiple ways. So, you know, I'm very taboo subject right now in the world is talking about politics, wherever you are on the political line. And at NMH, yes, we do feel a certain way about politics, but regardless of what side you're in politically, it's about learning how to have conversation, right? Learning to have those multiple perspectives. And that's what boarding school teaches you. How do you disagree and agree to disagree, right? It's really hard to learn, It's hard for me at my age, right? It's even harder for 14 and 15-year-olds, but that's why we help stretch perspectives. Our students live together, and there's nothing, for me, I think one of my favorite memories of boarding school is when there's 15 of you crowded around 2 sinks brushing your teeth together, and you're just talking about the day, right? There's something, I don't know, what do you think, so? Do you think that's true? Right? There's so much fun during those times of connection, or when you're on a 2-hour bus trip to go skiing with your group. Those connections later on, here I am in Singapore, watching all the parents who know each other, or all the alum who know each other. That's what boarding school helps build you. And if you ask most kids who went to boarding school, they are closer to their boarding school classmates than they are to their university classmates, right? So if your child is really good socially and is a connector, we don't need 500 leaders, right? Somebody's got to be a follower. And just as a follower, you can also be a leader, right? Those are the connectors. Those are the glue. If your kid is a glue kid, they will be the most important kid in the dorm, right? So think about those connections. Go ahead. It's really hard to find kids who are standing up for what's happening in the world right now. And so NMH and every boarding school is committed to just making sure that you are treating people with respect and dignity, regardless of your mission and regardless of your value system, right? And so we really believe that. And the way we do it is through a work job. Everyone has a job on our campus. You could be on our farm, you could be on the bakery. And we're not the only school who does this, right? There are other schools that do it as well. Choate has one. They do jobs on campus. Hotchkiss does one on campus. So look at like what these value systems are, again, at the different boarding schools, that kids are dedicating their life to helping out their community and providing service. Yep. This is where people get, right? So every one of these boarding schools, regardless of where you are, they're trying to get you here. There are hundreds of colleges, and it's really overwhelming to navigate them. So the college counseling offices of these boarding schools are there to help you get here. There are some junior boarding schools here, and junior boarding schools have connections with those high schools that then turn around and help you have the traction to get into these schools. Go ahead. And the boarding schools have been doing it a long time. So, oh, no, go back. Does anybody know when the first boarding school was, or which? No? So the first one was West Nottingham, and I think it was like 1744. Crazy long time. The Gun School is another one that's been doing it a very long time. This is NMH's class of 1892. And I know we've been doing it right. How many countries do you think is represented here? Anyone? How many countries? 20 in 1892. That would be good, but no. How many? Nice job. 5, right? So there's Canada, Scotland, Ireland, Russia, I think, is one here, or USSR back then. And in the bottom right corner, there's Chan Lun Tong, who came on a boat for 3 months from Canton, landed in New York, and then took a horse and carriage up to NMH. So he came over during the Qing Dynasty. He graduated from NMH, and he was the first Chinese student to attend Harvard University and graduate, right? So all these boarding schools have a long history of going to these programs, right? So when you're talking about why send your kid to a boarding school, that's how long these relationships have been in place, right? our kids and boarding schools want to see that what they're having coming into our school is also what your kids are doing now. So when you're filling out the application, let us know what you're interested in, yes, but tell us how long you've been doing stuff, right? Because we want to know if we can push you further, if it's something that you're going to spearhead on our campus, right? Or is it something that you did just because your parents were telling you to, right? Be clear in your application. Our kids are all over. I guarantee if you talk to any boarding school, they can tell you about an alum who is changing the world in multiple ways. And it's not because they're multi-billionaires. It's because of something that they're doing to really impact the world in beautiful ways, right? So talk about that network, especially in Singapore where networks are everything, right? See who's making waves in Singapore and in the world, because that's where you probably want your kid to be. Find your purpose and your potential. That's why you go to boarding school. And that's it. Questions? I did good. That was fast, you guys. I mean, whew. Questions? Yeah, please.
Do you have any student from Italy?
So a multiple, like most of these boarding schools will have European kids. We do. We have a pair of sisters actually we have a number of kids from Italy. Our ski team actually was in Italy last year because they were skiing there. One of them broke the law by accident because they set off an avalanche by accident, and it's against the law in Italy to set off an avalanche. It was not their fault. They didn't get in trouble, but you know, things like that, experiences like that are because we have kids from all over the world, right? All these boarding schools have great kids from all over the world. So, yeah. Other questions? You don't have to have any, but I'm a really good resource. Yes, Alex, right? Oh, good. Sure. Sure. So almost every one of these schools here has a summer program, even in our area. So if you, bye you guys, bye Jaden. If you guys like throw a rock from my school, you have NMH, Deerfield, Bement, Eaglebrook, Stoneleigh, Williston, Suffield, Loomis. You can keep going down, all the way down to New York. All of them except Stoneleigh have a summer school, right? Some of them have full on, like, for us, we have a 5-year program where you can complete a subject in those 5 weeks. Other ones, like Deerfield, has an awesome science program, right? Eagle Brooks goes from kindergarten to 9th grade. So if you have younger kids, your kids can start there. But again, it's looking at these different summer schools where kids can experience, do they want to live in a dorm, right? Are they okay being away from home? And it's the best time to do it. You know they're safe. You know they're protected, right? They're not navigating the cities, right? So yeah, definitely jump in on that. Yeah, for summer school. It's a great way to get to know a boarding school. Yes. Oh, God. Hold on.
As a third culture kid, I would like to know how boarding schools celebrate different cultures.
So the question was, how do boarding schools celebrate different cultures? Is that what? Embrace. We're here. Right? That's one. But all these schools have a commitment to bringing in students from all over the world. It's a little selfish the way we do it, right? Because we also know it's our domestic kids who are benefiting from having kids from different cultures there. Again, having the opportunity to have multiple perspectives is really important to boarding schools. So if you're thinking differently, if you're bringing a different culture, a different understanding of the world, right, we know that everyone's going to grow, right? The one thing about Singapore that's unique is you have a number of kids who are third culture kids, right? So kids who, what is your ethnicity? You're South Korean, but have you grown up here in Singapore your whole life? Great. Like me, like I was just talking about, right? So when I'm half Filipino, right? And so for the longest time, I was like, okay, I'm not Hong Kong Chinese. I'm not Thai. I'm not Filipino. I'm not American, so to speak. Now I'm American. But like balancing all those, Singapore, because of your expat community here, has this wonderful culture of having third culture kids, kids who can navigate different cultures, right? And those are kids who we really love having on campus because they can be with this group and understand this group and understand this language or understand excited about, eating dim sum and really understand really good pizza. But they want to celebrate Loy Krathong in Thailand and they love 4th of July, right? It's those kind of navigations that are really special on our boarding schools. Yep. Other questions? Is that it? Does that work? We good? Thank you guys so much for joining. Again, check out all the different schools. They have so much to offer. One thing I do say to people, grab my card. If you want to know if a certain school might be the right fit for your child, at Northfield Mount Hermon, we believe that finding the best match is important, even if it's not at our school. So I'm happy to talk to families about creating a different list of schools that would best work for your child. All right. Thank you.